Smyth's weekly property tips and news. I'm Mark Madden, and backed by popular demand.
G'day.
Jason Murray.
How we doing?
The lovely sales manager, co-owner as well. Jace is in today to talk about sales. We covered rentals last week. Last 2 quarters, I think you've done some research.
Yeah, just got some approximate numbers. So obviously they changed a little bit, but just waiting for some final numbers to come through. But so the last 2 quarters, just good to compare. And it's always a funny time of year. Like everyone, they sort of think springtime's the time to sell, and we've always had that stand that springtime is a more competitive time to sell. So it depends on the result that you're after. And where you're heading to. So winter can bring out better results in a sense from a price point of view, because there's less property to compete with. So it gives you a broader range of buyers, and those stats actually back up. So for this year, so the last quarter, the postcode, so 2340 saw 302 sales. Again, it might fluctuate a few here and there, but around that. Average sale price for houses, 542,000. So that's a pretty strong average for Tamworth, and units in there 445. So obviously there wasn't too many units, but units that can fall into some villas and that sort of stuff too. Compared to the quarter before, it was 366 sales, but that average sale price was down at 522. So the last quarter lifted $20,000 for an average price. Obviously there can be 1 or 2 sales that can spike that up, but that's any time of year. So our stats, we're not going to eliminate that. We're just going to keep it all in there for generic, numbers, and just to rely on. But yeah, it's been a good quarter, I think. Good Tamworth outcome.
What are we thinking? Outlooks? Are we coming into spring? We talk about there's more coming on. There is a bit of a buzz. I feel there's like a bit of positive stories now in the press.
I think the press is starting to back up the stabilisation of inflation and interest rates. So yet to see what the banks will do with that, whether they'll carry on and lift them themselves, who knows. But I think that's giving people the confidence. We're still seeing high activity from investors to owner-occupiers.
Absolutely.
I think the only spot where it's quieting down a little bit is probably more in that higher bracket, maybe that $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 bracket. There's less active buyers in there. Definitely investors are more productive in the lower end, whereas before they were buying any price range. So I think coming into springtime, we're already seeing an influx of appraisals from our side, so more people are wanting to know what their home's worth coming into spring. So that thought obviously is coming back to people about maybe getting rid of that nervousness, what should they do, and just having more confidence. I think it'll be
interesting.
It will be interesting, So generally spring is, like we said, it's more competitive. So you'll see more property come onto the market just naturally. That's real estate. So I think you'll have to watch your price, I think, to make sure you stay competitive.
Exactly right. So with more on, obviously there's more competition that you've got to compete with. Buy numbers are still strong, so no sort of worries there.
No, that's right. That's still going okay.
It'll be very interesting 3 months. So this will make a mark on this moment, and we'll talk at the end of November.
See what the stats are like then, and see if it comes back or if it stays where it is.
Exactly.
I think either, look at the last 2 quarters, those numbers are still pretty strong. A fluctuation of $20,000 as an average across 6 months.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good, and
units look like they're about the same, so we're in that 300, which is still pretty strong. So it'll be interesting if that number goes up. And what that average does too.
That's right.
Very, very good. Next week we're going to talk about what we have called a CET, Customer Engagement Tool, your brainchild, if you will. So we'll cover that next week. It's a fantastic new tool that we can help if you're looking at buying, selling, just interested in what the market's doing. It does cover New South Wales.
It covers the whole state, so you don't have to live in Tamworth to use the system there. Just gives you some approximate values on your property. What it doesn't cover, which we'll talk about next week, is if you've done renovations, extensions, things that are unknown that you'll never know until you have an agent walk through the property or a valuer. That would then update that system and give a better gauge of square meterage and finishes and things like that. So it won't be able to read the minds of owners and properties, but it's still a pretty good asset to have and a good indication for a lot of owners.
So we'll cover that next week. There's a little taste for next week. Thanks, mate. Thanks again, Jace.
No worries, thank you.
We'll put some news down below on what we covered today. Thanks again for joining us. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the little bell to get notified of our next video. But until next week, we'll see you then.
See you then.